Hey guys, Rock here. Last night I finally got a chance to play the Fallout 76 beta. It had some glaring issues I'd like to talk about real quick. There's a lot of really good things that were a lot of fun to play, but probably the biggest issue right now is what I'm going to call the PC problem. The port isn't really, I don't know how to describe it without getting into a lot of detail, but they really got a lot of work to do ahead of them, and hopefully they support PC from this point onward. I know it's a beta, but they really need to fix a few of these issues. And starting with the issues, stuttering. I have a relatively powerful PC. I got a i7 8700K overclocked to 5.1, two 1080 Ti's. I did turn Sly off just because that always seems to introduce issues, especially when a game's in a testing phase. I got the Intel Optane SSD, which is just insanely fast. I mean, I will never be worrying about speed as far as hard drives are concerned. And even with 32 gigabytes of RAM, I still had a tremendous amount of stuttering. The frame rate was hovering in the 30s at best. My screen is kind of an oddball. It's a 38-inch ultra wide screen. It's not really. It does take a lot of computing power to produce the image on this monitor, but I've never had an issue with it. So stuttering was definitely an issue. Frame rate drops was definitely a problem. And beyond the issue with frame rates, UI could use some improvement. I know that it, this is the beta again. I'm going to say that probably 100 times in this video, but they really could improve the user interface. In a PC game, user interfaces are almost always fully customizable. We've basically got no options, no way to have any control over what we're seeing as far as your heads-up display or really anything. We're just kind of stuck to the usual console port controls that most people are used to using an actual controller to scroll through, which isn't really all that great for PC because we have so many options for key bindings and places to put our favorite things to use, the hotbars, all that stuff. They need a little bit better UI as far as for the PC crowd, which I'm a huge PC. I mean, we are the master race for sure. Another glaring issue was lack of NPCs. While they are not necessary, the map does a great job of storytelling. The hollow tapes, the notes that are laying around everywhere. I did get a lot of enjoyment out of that. I didn't spend as much time as I would have liked to because I only had a couple hours to play. I really wanted to see as much as I could in that short amount of time and just kind of touch on everything. So, it does an okay job of replacing NPCs with environmental storytelling and just what you find out in the world. Now, that's not to say that everything was a huge negative. First off, the game was just fun. The gameplay was enjoyable. Just the action, the shooting, attacking, even meleeing. It was fluid. It made sense. It was your typical Fallout hack 'em, slash 'em, shoot 'em game, and that is really what we're here to play. And as far as all of the negatives, this, in my opinion, is what makes the game fun: the story and the gameplay. Now, the gameplay, kind of getting into a little bit more detail. You got your base building or camp, which you could put quote unquote anywhere, even though you really can't put it in some of the overly interesting spots. You can't go to the middle of a town or anything like that. But I did just walk around quite a bit, hovering the camp over places just to see where you could and could not. And truthfully, there was a lot of spots where I was like kind of almost surprised that I could put my camp down at. Like, I understand the thought of not being able to put your camp in the middle of town. I mean, people would make the game almost unplayable by covering the whole area with walls that you can't get through and just kind of ruining the gameplay for other people. But I really enjoyed getting to just look for a spot to put camp down at. That was actually probably the most fun part of the game, with the only 2 hours that I had to play. So camp is definitely an improvement over settlements from Fallout 4. I think everybody's going to find really interesting and new ways to kind of use this mechanic. I know I definitely am going to hit that hard. I'm definitely going to go down the crafting camp route. But also, a slight negative for the camp is there's only a 400-pound limit across everything. You could only hold 400 pounds, and I gotta think that they're gonna change that. And when I say 400 pounds, I mean anything that you hold in your camp, is if it's just sitting on a shelf or it's in your stash or whatever. It's only 400 pounds, so that's a huge negative. It doesn't matter how many of your boxes you put down; it doesn't change your overall limit, and that's gonna have to change. Another topic for the positive side, it's a beautiful, beautiful landscape. I mean, we have never in the Fallout franchise ever seen this kind of color. Everything's pretty vibrant. I know I was just in the low level beginning area, which generally in most games does have like those better looking, more, friendlier looking environments, and it is beautiful. I mean, you can see for miles. You can look over the hills, the mountains. If you get up high, look down, you can see for a long distance. It's a beautiful game. The graphics, while not next generation, they are definitely an improvement over Fallout 4. Kind of getting away from the grays and the downtrodden and the destroyed. I mean, it is just beautiful. West Virginia is the perfect setting for what they're trying to accomplish. And to keep that kind of the environment or the landscape here in focus real quick, there's just a ton to find all over the map. I mean, it's super, super loaded with, findable locations that aren't on the the large map that you have access to. It's got that typical Fallout, just tons of stuff just all clustered together that you can just find. I mean, there was at one point I found this small pond that had a fishing pole and a fishing hat, and you could see the somebody had been fishing, and they had a small camp set up with fish being fried, and it was just, the whole thing was just loaded with just stuff to find, and everything had, kind of like its reason for being, and it was just enjoyable. The map is probably up there with one of the top things about this game. Is you're not going to get bored. You're never going to be like, man, what do I want to go do today? I've already done this and this. Everybody keeps talking about the nuke loop, or how, at some point after you do it all, you're going to be bored, which every game falls into that. But I just can't get over how much gameplay there's going to be around moving camp across the map. It's going to be a ton of fun, and with so much to find, it's never going to be the same thing every time you play. The last thing I kind of want to touch on, I kind of hit it earlier, is that I'm calling this issue the PC problem. It is by far one thing that's going to have to be fixed and changed for this game to have any kind of longevity as far as PC players are concerned. They really, really need to get the ultra wide screen support. I mean, I know that they have, resolutions that work for widescreen. I was able to play on my screen. It went across the whole screen. The UI, kind of fit, even though, like I said, it didn't have all the customization issues that we would really like. But like field of view, we really need a slider for field of view so we can get use out of some of these large monitors. Key bindings, for the love of God, Bethesda, we have got to get some proper key binding support. The going through menus is super painful. Like camp, it almost ruins the camp experience, having to use Z or C to scroll through menu items in camp. Like, that just makes almost absolutely no sense. I mean, Q and E would have been better, but we can't use E because that's how you place an item, which again makes no sense. A mouse click to me would have made more sense that when you have it where you want it, you mouse click. Having it rotate on mouse click just makes absolutely no sense to me. I'm sure I'll get used to it. That issue will, we'll just learn to live with it. but some of the things with the PC port, just, I mean, it's obviously a console first game, and you might have to think about getting a control, like a regular console controller to plug into your PC for things like base building so that it is more intuitive. The frame rates, it's just not utilizing the power that a computer has, and that's the single biggest issue. The game, tons of fun, gonna love it, gonna play it. I'm gonna make a bunch of videos that probably very few people are gonna watch, but it is fun. They just need to fix these issues with PC. That's just all I'm saying. My final thoughts is I'm really excited. I really am looking forward to where this game's going. I am I'm coming from playing all the Fallout franchise. The whole series is just a lot of fun. Apocalypse, end of the world stuff. That's my genre. That's what I play. That's what I enjoy. The closest game to this, with the size of the map and kind of what you can do, is I really enjoyed playing DayZ, but this game is just, it blows games like DayZ and Rust out of the water with all that can be done, and they were able to create it and finish it into a playable game, which is huge. They took a single player game and made it multiplayer, but they didn't go the route of the Elder Scrolls Online, which is an MMO. This isn't massive. This isn't a ton of massively amount of players, which is a huge positive. I'm not completely sold on being able to see everybody on the map. It kind of takes some of the, they took a lot of the danger out of PvP out when they, introduced the slap mechanic, which was probably a good thing. But with that in mind, I think I would have enjoyed not knowing where the other players were, because they couldn't just kill me in one shot, or kind of trick me into killing me. So having that, oh man, there's somebody right there, that to me would have probably been a little bit more, made the gameplay a little bit more interesting with other players. But I'm just real excited. I'm excited to just play the game and enjoy it. So hopefully you guys get some insight. I know it's kind of overly negative on the video, but it has a lot going for it, and I hope you guys tune in and get a chance to watch some more of my other videos I plan on making once I'm actually able to play the game. It'll probably be a little slow until the game's finally released on November 11th. I do believe I have November 1st, tomorrow, we will be getting another shot. We get the extended beta access because a lot of my PC brethren were tricked into hitting the play button, which apparently deleted their entire game and had to re-download 50 gigabytes just to get a chance to play again, and most people missed out on it, so it was a complete disaster last night. Luckily, I wasn't available to start right when it opened, and that really saved me. So hopefully this tomorrow we get a better shot at it, and I can kind of get into more of the a little bit more detail about some of the things I'm really interested in. And I think that's about all I have for you. Thanks for watching.